I'm sure you're all familiar with Spirits. You know, that deck that you run into like 1 in 50 matches on the Pioneer ranked ladder, that deck that always destroys you and is incredibly frustrating to play against? Well, I was wondering, can these two birds also fit in the deck? I'm gonna find out. Alright, I think I got a really fun one for you guys today. Now, if you don't know, I am a huge fan of Spirits. In fact, I used to play a ton of Spirits back in the day in like 2018, 2019, when I used to go to Paper Modern events. It was one of the first tribes that I fell in love with, and it was just amazing. At that time, oh my god, Aether Vial. Do you guys remember Aether Vial? Do you remember being able to flash in or put in creatures with the Aether Vial? Oh, I really miss the days of Aether Vial. Wouldn't that be a great card to print in Pioneer? Eh? Come on, Wizards, print it into Pioneer. It's probably not too bad. And Noble Hierarch. Give us Noble Hierarch as well, okay? So our creature decks need a little bit of help. I don't think it would be too bad for the format. Anyways, there are a couple of Spirit decks in Pioneer that are doing well, and those ones are, the best ones are mostly using the Curiosity card. I think Enduring Curiosity is the one that comes to mind first. Now, I've tried the white Curiosity and the blue Curiosity, and neither of them really clicked with me, but I do maybe think I need to give them a little bit more time. This is closer to the Spirit list that I like to run, and of course there are a lot of familiar faces in this deck list. If you've matched up against Spirits, you know them very well. But there are two cards that I kind of, that caught my eye kind of recently, and I wanted to try them out in the deck because I think we can, instead of just going full Spirit, we can kind of do a Flying Spirit hybrid thing going on here. Now, the deck, very quickly to go over, we have the cards that you would expect. Mausoleum Wanderer, fantastic one-drop, the best one-drop in Spirits. It gets bigger every time a Spirit comes in, and then we can sacrifice it to counter an instant or sorcery spell unless the opponent pays X. Wandering Spirit is a thorn in a lot of opponents' sides. We also have Rattlechains, which is not a Lord, but it is kind of a pseudo-Lord. It has Flash itself, and then when it is on the field, it gives all of our Spirits Flash. Now that is kind of notable because although the new cards are not Spirits, one of them already has Flash on its own, the Aven Interrupter, we'll come back to it, and then the Mockingbird unfortunately doesn't have Flash, but I don't think it's such a big deal. Supreme Phantom, your typical 1/3 Lord, +1/+1. It's fantastic for 2, and I'm also playing a couple of copies, 4 copies of the Empyrean Eagle. I went with this one over the other Blue Lord, I can't remember what its name is, but it's only a 2/2. This is a 2/3 body, but it's giving all of our creatures with flying +1/+1. This is going to give everything in the deck, with the exception of a couple of cards in the sideboard. Over here we have the Eidolon of Rhetoric, and we have the Skyclave Apparition. I think Catilda has flying, she does. These cards don't have flying. They're more tech cards, so it's not such a big deal. Everything else that we want to be attacking with will get the +1/+1, so I think it is a fine Lord. And having 2 or 3 mana, 3 toughness over 2 toughness is a huge deal, especially in the format as it is now. So many things do 2 damage. And then Spell Queller to get rid of our opponent's spells. It doesn't counter them, it just exiles them until Spell Queller leaves the field. This card is just fantastic. So, why do we have these new cards? Well, we have Mockingbird, and I think Mockingbird is fantastic because of what it does. I think, honestly, this card is just bonkers, and probably should be played more. I really want to try it out in Azorius Humans a little bit. In fact, just all tribal decks that are running blue, I think, should have Mockingbird. When it enters, or when you cast this creature, it enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature on the field. It can be even your opponent's creatures, which is fantastic, but I think most of the time we're going to be targeting our own things. Now, it's going to copy something that is equal to or less than the mana value spent. Very simple. If you pay X0, you spent 1 mana, so it can copy our Spectral Sailor or the Mausoleum Wanderer. If you spend X1, so 2 total mana, we can get a copy of any of our 2 CMC spells, probably Supreme Phantom. And then if we go ahead and spend the full 3 mana, we can get an Empyrean Eagle. Probably we're not going to be copying Aven Interrupter or Spell Queller because these are reactionary cards and Mockingbird doesn't really work that way, but it is kind of our 12th Lord in the deck is what this is going to be acting as. I think it's going to also be very good as a Mausoleum Wanderer in some matchups. So overall, I think Mockingbird is just like a super powerful card, and I can't wait to test it out. The other card is not a spirit, and notably about the Mockingbird, it will be a spirit because it is entering as a copy of that other card. Now, the Aven Interrupter is a bird. It's going to be benefiting from the Eagle. It's not going to be benefiting from Rattlechain or Phantom. It doesn't matter with the Rattlechain because it already has Flash, and this is a way for us to interact with the opponent's spells again. Exile target spell, it becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. This card is just kind of annoying. Now, it does have an annoying casting cost, 1 white, but Skyclave Apparition already has that, so this deck will not really have a problem getting this out on the field. I think this card's bonkers. I think it's going to give us just enough time, enough tempo that we can overrun our opponent with our other cards. So the early game is going to be very simple. Get out a Mausoleum Wanderer, hopefully have a Rattlechains, and then just be reacting and chipping away at the opponent. In the end, what am I doing today? I am testing to see if these two cards are going to be staples in a deck like this, if they fit or if they're just cluttering up the deck. That's what I'm going to find out. So let's jump into a few games and see how smoothly or not smoothly this goes. All right, let's just hope that these two birds are not just cluttering up the deck and they actually do something. I have a lot of hope in them, but parts of me are also a little bit nervous. I think the Mockingbird probably has more of a place in the deck than the Aven Interrupter, but I just kind of like the Aven Interrupter so much that I want to try it out, and I have a lot of hope for it. Our opponent on a very dirty play there. Usually the pathways I tend to put out on the blue. I find this deck is a lot more blue hungry than white hungry. Man, lands. I don't know what it is about this deck and lands, but I always have problems when it comes to lands. Alright, that's a pretty good draw. We do have now either a Selfless Spirit on the follow-up turn or a Spell Queller for their Adeline, which is probably what's coming down the pipeline. So, here we go with the Spell Queller. Veteran Survivor. I guess we allow a Veteran Survivor to hit the field. It is a 2/1, and does it grow? It does grow. So, at the beginning of your second main phase, if this creature is tapped, exile one target card from a graveyard. As long as there are 3 or more exile cards, it gets +3/+3. I'd rather them not have the Copper Coat Vanguard, so we'll take that with the Spell Queller, and the Spell Queller now is a pretty good blocker against that Thalia. Ooh, double Selfless Spirit. Now, probably, Selfless Spirit's not going to be overly useful in this matchup. There might be times when we want to put a whole big field in front of their big attack and then sacrifice the Selfless Spirit, but I think for the most part, their removal is going to be exile-based, so not a whole lot of good that's going to do us. Now, the opponent attacking in with these two, and that makes me a little suspicious. Do they want to get rid of the Thalia because they have something that they can play out? Do they have flash things? They have the Jano. Okay, well, guess what? I guess the Selfless Spirit does come in handy. I will happily give my Selfless Spirit indestructible. Kill the Veteran Survivor. Now, knowing that, I wish I put the Mutavault in front of the Thalia. But it is what it is. Mutavault. Is it Mutavault or Mutavault? Mutahar. He's a funny guy. Okay, attack in for 8. We have pseudo-lethal on the board, and the opponent is not having any more to do with our creatures. Okay, in this matchup, is the Aven Interrupter going to be impactful enough, stopping a lot of this like little one-drop stuff? I don't think it necessarily will be. Instead, I think, of course, we have to go a more traditional route with the Skyclave Apparition, exiling their stuff. They also might have a little bit of a hard time with this unless they have their own Apparitions or Brutal Cathars. We'll see. We definitely don't want to take in or bring in Spell Pierce or Negate. It's just not worth it. And then the Eidolon of Rhetoric or the other thing are not too valuable. But Catilda, providing a little bit of lifelink, might actually be useful. So we'll bring in a more traditional Spirit package and hope it gets there. Now, what is the opponent on? Is the opponent on Is it like a Mardu legendary deck? I have been seeing a humans legendary deck popping around quite a bit lately, and it definitely looks very intriguing. The opponent's deck, in a way, kind of seems like it might be that. Maybe not necessarily Mardu, maybe it's just Orzhov. And a veteran survivor on turn 1 is pretty good. We could Mockingbird it, but I feel like there are better uses of that. We take a little bit of damage from the survivor. It is what it is. No extra value on that, and they have just a tap land on turn 2. Opponent on 3 cards. They must have mulliganed. Ooh, there is the late Wanderer, which is fine. We'll put out the Adakar Wastes. It's going to be a Rattlechain's turn, and then from here, turn 3, we hopefully start to stabilize with the Spell Queller and everything else. Notably, Cavernous Souls, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana to only cast creature spells that they can't be countered. Ooh, that's probably the best draw that they could have had in their deck. But Spell Queller doesn't care about that, because Spell Queller, as I said in the intro, does not exile it, or does not counter, it exiles the card. Oh, we find yet another Mausoleum Wanderer. Now, the Mausoleum Wanderers might end up being decent blockers at some point, because they get pretty big when you get Lords on the field, but I don't think I can do anything. I could Mockingbird the Adeline, but I think that's just weak. It would be a 2/4 Adeline. I don't think that is where I want to be in this matchup. Instead, I think Spell Quelling a Thalia's Lieutenant is going to be better. And we are taking a little bit of damage from this Adakar Waste because I wasn't careful putting out things. Perhaps this should have been out on the Hengegate side. Okay, well, they can't hit the Spell Queller at the very least with the Portable Hole, so we do have a little bit of a safety net here. We're only going to take 4 damage, 5 damage, and losing the Rattlechains definitely hurts because now we are not in a position to flash out things, but they are in top deck mode, and we are going to do the best that we can do. We still have to take a little bit of damage from our land here to put this card out, the Empyrean Eagle, and we now have a 3/4 and a 2/2 and a 2/3, so Adeline probably going to chip. Oh my god, talk about your top decks. Oh, does that just... That's just enough for them, right? That is... If there was one card they could draw. Holy cow. We're not dead, notably. But that is absolutely brutal. So we got to put this here, we put this here, and I think, unfortunately, our Mausoleum Wanderer has to go in front of the Adeline. We take 4 damage down to 3, and... Whew. This veteran is actually going to maybe get up to a reasonable spot in a minute. Okay, here's what I'm wondering. Do I put the Mockingbird out on the Empyrean Eagle to pump up the team a little bit more and then throw out the Mausoleum Wanderer, or do I hold back the Mausoleum Wanderer, hold Lofty Denial, and maybe the Mutavault up? I am taking... No, I won't take any damage here, so that is going to be good. So probably it's just this. And we pay 3. They are going to crack a clue, so they are going to have 2 cards. And this is just not good because I have to put something underneath the Adeline. That card is just too strong. Okay. I'm hopeful that they draw land, and that they stumble, and maybe we can find some way through. I kind of feel like this Mutavault has to go under the Adeline. Warden of the Inner Sky is a pretty good draw. We can't counter that, notably because Lofty Denial would try to counter it, and they cast it with the Cavernous Souls. And this Thalia's Lieutenant with just the Adeline is going to get out of control as well. It's going to be a 4/4 this turn, potentially. Man, losing the Rattlechains actually was pretty massive. Okay. So, they're attacking like this. I kind of feel like they probably didn't have anything. And I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to load up the Mutavault. The Mutavault, notably, not a flying creature with the Empyrean Eagle. What I'm wondering now is, do I put the 2 Empyrean Eagles underneath the Adeline? The thing is, both of them will die. I could, conversely, put the Mutavault and the... Yeah, I think that's the better play, okay. Okay, let's get rid of this card. Maybe, you know what? I bet they're sandbagging a second Adeline. That's my bet. They don't care if this Adeline dies. Okay, we lose a lot of our board, but they lose their biggest threat, and they don't have anything. Okay. Do we see stabilization? And we get a notable white source there. Yeah, it's not so great, but when you're down to 3 life, maybe it is notable. It could be that they start pumping up the Warden of the Sky and start scrying. I think if I were in their position at 20 life with the board that they have, that's what I would be doing. That being said, Thalia start to come in. I think this Lofty Denial might just end up hitting the first thing that they play, because I'm scared of anything. As soon as Thalia's Lieutenant goes up to a 5/5/6/6, we are very much done. Oh, that's a little cool synergy. I didn't really think about that. Warden of the Sky tapping the Veteran Explorer. Tapping the Veteran Explorer is super cool. Man, we'll talk about your dead draws. And they're going to make a token. Hey, I don't play Castle Ardenvale in my Humans deck, and maybe I should be. That is something that's notable, isn't it? Okay, we're going to give one more draw, but I think there's absolutely no way that we're outvaluing this Warden of the Inner Sky, along with the Thalia's Lieutenant growing to a 6/6 this turn, at the very minimum, especially if we draw another land. They're also not drawing particularly well, but this is now a 6/5 hexproof. And we draw a Mockingbird, but the Mockingbird is just too late. What is it really going to do? I copy an Empyrean Eagle for 3, and then what? And then we die. Do I go through the motions? This is where playing the Azorius version versus playing a Coco version really starts to show some of its weakness. It's so hard if you lose that tempo, or you just never gain that tempo early on in the game. Getting it back or getting it over the opponent, I feel, is really hard. But with some green mana, maybe we could have done that. And this is useless because they don't have enough mana. Oh, but it's uncounterable. And the game did warn me, so good on the game. Adeline, what a good draw. I think the opponent hitting... Ignore that. Oh, I had my dehumidifier on. It probably was a little bit hummy for a little while there. The opponent hitting that Thalia's Lieutenant at that perfect moment was what blew the game wide open for them. So we'll go to game 3, and we'll hope that it goes a little bit more smoothly. I always try to turn off all the sound-producing things that are around me, but once in a while I miss something. We'll keep this. We got our early mana. We're not going to be hurting ourselves, but we're going to have to really rely heavily on this Catilda, I think, which, it's a pretty bonkers card. Spectral Sailor, I didn't mention it in the opening stuff, but Spectral Sailor would have been pretty good when I was flooding out there, getting it on the field and just getting a little bit of extra value. Even though it costs 4 to draw a card, it would have been quite helpful. Now, Thraben Inspector, one of my favorite humans, coming in to deal some damage to my poor face, but I think it's fine. Ooh. Now, do I want to Skyclave the Luminarch? I think Luminarch gets out of control, but I will... stop before the next combat. Let's see what they do. I've got to utilize these buttons down in the bottom right-hand corner. Kind of hoping that they whiff. I'm always hoping that my opponents are whiffing on their mana. It happens to me so often. It's got to happen to the opponents once in a while, right? I didn't attack with the Rattle Chain, which maybe it's fine that I didn't. Maybe it keeps back a blocker for the Luminarch. I could have put in the Empyrean Eagle and blocked it. Okay, so here's where the position is weird. Do I want to hit the Luminarch? Because it doesn't look like they're doing anything too dangerous this turn. And them getting an extra +1/+1 counter, I think, is a little bit annoying. So yeah, let's get this out. Part of me feels like they might be leaving the mana up to hit that clue. It's also possible that they have Portable Hole for my Rattle Chains, which would be devastating considering what I have in my hand. Thalia's Lieutenant, we weren't stopping the +1/+1s here, so it is what it is. And now they smack us for 3. Ooh, these draws. Not the best. So, Catilda plus Spectral Sailor, though, is going to be a pretty nice surprise on the following turn. I don't think I'm ever going to block with the Rattle Chains, so I may as well get in. The Rattle Chains definitely should have hit them for 2 on the previous turn. There was no reason to hold it back. I was not going to throw it in front of something. And they hit their, again, best card, Adeline. Favorite card? Best card. Contender for potential best card here. Okay, so this is actually pretty sweet. Catilda goes out, a Spectral Sailor goes out, and we get a free human, and we get a free Thalia's Lieutenant, and we also gain 4 life. I'm okay with that. Okay. Ooh. So I think we are back to sandbagging a little bit. I may as well attack in with these 2. I don't think they are going to do anything. This Skyclave Apparition, kind of cool to block the Adeline 1/1. And now I have the choice of going out with the Empyrean Eagle or the Skyclave along with the Spectral Sailor. The mana definitely worked out very nicely for me in this matchup. And this Catilda could end up being huge. What are they going after? Are they going after the Rattle Chains? They must go after the Rattle Chains. Why wouldn't they? If that's the case, they're at 1 mana. Skyclave the Adeline, or... No, you know what? I think I like putting out the Empyrean Eagle and just getting really big with the Catilda. And there's no reason to flash out the Spectral Sailor now, because the Spectral Sailor has flash all on its own. Oh, are you joking? General Kudro? Do they have the mana for Kudro? No, they don't. It's 2 mana. Okay, I'm going to have to... Oh, this is awkward. So I could... We have some choices, again, to make. So definitely we're putting the Empyrean Eagle in front of this. I could put the Catilda in front of the Adeline, and then the Catilda has a backside which disturbs, and then I Skyclave the General Kudro. Conversely, I could just take the damage, and do I win? What's my life, or what do I got? 2, 4, 6, 13. I do not... Hang on, let me make sure. They don't have mana, they don't have cards in hand, and I think we don't die, and we win. And we win. Doesn't matter what we put out here, because Catilda is going to go up to a 7, And oh, no, we don't win. Did I do my math wrong? 2, 4, 6. No, okay, no. You know what I started doing? I started realizing that this one doesn't have flying, and I started like, oh, did I calculate the Skyclave apparition in my math? This is it, right? Come on. Yeah, there's no... Yes, okay. So in the Battle of Tribes, Spirits reign supreme, and unfortunately, the new cards did nothing, so maybe they don't matter. We're going to see a couple more matches with them, though. Okay, Spirits showing that they can, in fact, do annoying and fun things. That matchup was pretty tough. I don't think we particularly drew well. Is what I guess I should say that. We'll keep this. But my opponent, I think, was running a little bit hot. I don't know. I'll be honest. But we made it. There. Golgari, opponent, with the fancy Blooming Marsh that I kind of like. I like that one a little less. I don't like the way that, like, Arena... This is like the Arena art, not a duplicate of a normal card. They all kind of look that way. So we lose our Aven Interrupter. They fear the Interrupter. So it did 2 damage, at the very least, with the Thoughtseize. But our opponent taking our card that we need. Good news, though. We picked up a Lofty Denial, and I think a Lofty Denial probably going to be pretty good in this matchup for a turn 3 Greasefang. Oh my god, Greasefang. What do you think? This video, I should get it out. What is today? Today's the 25th, so there's still 5 more days until the ban announcement. And I know there are people that are talking about... There are people that are talking about Greasefang being banned. There's some murmuring, not a lot of it. I think I just let the Overlord go. I think hitting a Greasefang is going to be a lot more important in the near future. But yeah, Greasefang, not a... right there. Opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Says no to our poor Rattle Chains. Hopefully they don't get it on the field. Am I going to counter the Voice of Victory? Because it kind of shuts down a lot of my deck. This card I actually, when I first saw it, I was really focused on that Mobilize 2 line of text there. And I think I didn't give that second line of text enough credit, because it is pretty nutty. They cycle. What does this do when it cycles? It just cycles. When this enters, destroy turn, whatever. Being able to blank your opponent is nuts. And it's just like, it's just a better... Oh, that's... Okay. Now we're cooking. There is another card that does it, but I think it's like a 2/2. I think the 1/3 stat line with Mobilize 2 is just a better version of that other card that says opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which I'm forgetting what it is. So, of course, we're against everybody's favorite, Greasefang. The opponent, probably in a bit of frustration, conceded there. They didn't find their one trick, so they conceded. How amazing. We bring in the Rest in Peace. I think we just take out the Aven Interrupters. Do I care enough about their other stuff? Their like enabler cards to bring in Spell Pierce and Negate. Maybe. I don't think Selfless Spirit is going to be overly useful, and instead maybe like a Spell Pierce to hit an early cash grab might be kind of important. I can't hit this. Can I hit this? Maybe I can. Yeah, it is just an enchantment, so hitting an Overlord would also be kind of good. Okay, we'll run with these 60. That felt better. It would have been nice to have a turn 1 spell, Mausoleum Wanderer. It's always better to have a Mausoleum Wanderer on turn 1. That card... The reason I put Mockingbird in the deck was because I knew that I could go turn 1 Mausoleum Wanderer, turn 2 Mockingbird, and I felt like that was just like a super powerful thing to have on the field, which maybe, now that I'm saying that, makes me think that perhaps I should have a couple of copies of Spell Pierce in the board, because having, you know, turn 1 this, turn 2 Mockingbird and a land drop hold up the Spell Pierce could be quite powerful. What do we do? Is this a keep? Is this a keep? We have our Silver Bullet. We have our Mausoleum Wanderer, which could slow them down. And it's like, again, it's about 40% to draw a land. It's the one land special. Do I get punished for it? Do I get punished for it? Look at that. Oh, that's kind of cool. Never, never, ever, ever punished. In a million years. Now, here's the question. If they play a cash grab, do we Mausoleum Wanderer? Is it worth it to... I gotta read cash grab and know exactly what it is. I think it returns... Does it only return a land? Uh-oh. 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 So they're going to be hitting us for quite a bit of damage, and Voice of Victory is a beast of a card against us. I don't think I have any removal in the deck, because I'm pretty sure I didn't bring in my things, even though I was sitting here saying I'm going to need something. Okay. Ouch. Can you maybe not do that? Do we? What do? Do we get our own Greasefang? That's kind of fun, right? It's going to stop my opponent's Voice of Victory, maybe. And it is a flying Greasefang, so yeah, Mockingbird. Let's see if this was the right play. These cards, cool, but they're a lot cooler when I'm able to flash them in. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm a little bit frazzled now with I was just talking about how important the Voice of Victory is for the opponent and how much it hoses me, and I'm like, I completely forgot about it existing in the sideboard. Or when I was sideboarding, I was just so focused on Rest in Peace. But we definitely need to bring in our Skyclave Apparitions to deal with a Voice of Victory. I think I'm fine taking 4. The Spell Pierce. Yeah. Notably, Mausoleum Wanderer still can counter something that they play. It is a 1/1 because we haven't hit any of our lords, but it's maybe a thing. Okay. Sentinel of the Nameless City. This is a cool card. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, create a map. Oh, and they hit. I saw this card over in their sideboard, but I didn't look at it. Honest Rutstein. When it enters, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Creature cards cast 1 less to cast. I am definitely going to be throwing this underneath this time. Can't take any more damage. And I guess we are just all in on the the value creatures here. I'm going to swing, because if I get a Lord with my creatures being in the air, it could be a very quick turnaround. Now, I don't want this Sentinel of the Nameless City attacking in, but it is what it is. We do get to still block. I think it's fine to block the spell, the Voice of Victory. It doesn't matter if I block Voice of Victory or if I block the Warriors. I think it doesn't matter. They get in for 5, we go down to 6, which is still healthy enough. But their follow-up is going to be a big question. If I hit a Lord here, what is that going to mean? Is that lethal? 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, Lord is lethal. See Chrome Coast. That's close to being a Lord, right? So now the plan. What's the plan now? The plan is... And it had to be a tapped land, right? Like, it couldn't have been an untapped land. At the very least, I could have drawn with the Spectral Sailor. Maybe I should have just used the mana to draw with the Spectral Sailor for the next turn. I think we attack with the Mausoleum Wanderer, because I'm definitely not going to be doing anything with it next turn, and I think I'm fine attacking with this. This brings them down to 8, and then that potentially gives me lethal in the air with what I have, although that's a long shot because I'm going to have to put at least something underneath. Maybe I should have attacked with one of the spell quellers as well, bring them down to 6. Maybe 6 was the special. 6 was the special number. Maybe not. Tricky. Okay. It all depends on how they attack out here. I will go down to 1 if I have to. And we still have this Spell Pierce. Imagine Voice of Victory. This is actually going to be validating a friend of mine who is very high, was quite high on Voice of Victory when I kind of went, what does it do? Is it good enough? And this is going to validate them very much. In fact, Voice of Victory is good enough. I'm being torn asunder. So I could save my Spell Queller. If I save my Spell Queller, I lose the Mausoleum Wanderer. And if I lose the Mausoleum Wanderer, I think I have to, right? What sucks is that like a Lord doesn't give me lethal now, I don't think. Because I'm going to have to go in front of the Asika's Chariot. And they're going to attack in with the Sentinel. So I'm going to have to put the Spectral Sailor underneath the Sentinel. Yeah, the Sentinel. I'm going to have to put it underneath. Well, I'm going to have to put it under something. Does this force me? No, I'm still okay. I'm not going to lose my Spell Quellers. But I only have... Oh, no. Will I have lethal? I will have lethal with a Lord. Let me think about this. So that's going to take me down to 2. This is going to keep both of my creatures alive, and this one's alive. That'll be 2, 6, 8 damage. So, Lord off the top saves us. Let me make sure that I'm not dead here. Lord off the top. Lord off the top. Lord off the top. Come on. 1, 3, 2. I do have a draw. And I guess I should find out if I shouldn't have done this, because it's going to bother me. Okay. If it hit the Lord there, I would have been pretty upset. Whew. Okay. Still, the opponent, good on them. The Skyclave Apparitions, I guess, have to come in. The Spell Pierces felt real bad and were probably an error to be bringing in the first place. And if I can't deal with the... I want the loft. I do have the Spell Quellers. Having 2 Lofty Denials might be enough. Maybe I bring in the Catilda instead. But the Catilda is probably pretty vulnerable to their removal. But that, their deck doesn't play a lot of removal, and me getting a lot of life gain could be a pretty big factor. They're obviously Greasefang, a little bit different from your traditional Golgari or like Rakdos type builds that are packing just tons of removal. This is playing a lot of enablers. We got our Silver Bullet. We also have 3 Pain Lands and a Rattle Chain. So I think I have to keep it. I don't like it though. I don't like it. This Mockingbird turning into a Lord or Mausoleum Wanderer or something like that could be huge at some point in the game, but I think... Oh, okay, well, that's a good draw. Okay, we take 1 point of damage. Let's run it out. Even if they have Boseiju or whatever else they have in their deck to deal with it, they deal with it. I guess there could have been an argument to maybe waiting. What do you guys think? What do you think? Now that I'm rambling, as I ramble, I start to like have these thoughts. So talking out loud actually kind of helps. Maybe I should have gone out with the Rattle Chains that turn, or on the end of their turn, and then instead put out the Rest in Peace after they put a few cards in their graveyard. Because with the Rest in Peace on the field, it's just going to disincentivize them from doing anything graveyard related. And they had the removal for it anyways. So, now we get a second chance on making a better decision. Let's not run out the Rest in Peace. Let's instead run out the Rattle Chain or the Spell Queller. Okay, Rattle Chains is fine. Take a little damage. They didn't fill the graveyard. So is it possible that they are running more removal? See Chrome Coast. I think it's fine to put this out because I need to deal with the Painlands. Painlands are going to destroy me if I keep relying on them, and I'm not going to be using all 4 mana this turn, so I may as well just get that down now while I can. Spell Quell something if I need to. Cash Grab. That's fine, because I can probably hit a Spell Queller, hit their Greasefang with the Spell Queller and then follow it up with a Rest in Peace. Or I hit this Voice of Victory, because Voice of Victory is a nasty card. Let's get rid of that. Okay. I think it's prudent to put out the Rest in Peace now. And I think, honestly, at this point, I am going to start attacking in with the team, also flashing out the Spectral Sailor at the end of their turn and putting a ton of pressure on them. Come on, there are Lords in the deck, but I cannot find them. Maybe I need more Patrician Geist. That's the Geist that I forgot the name of when I was doing the intro. Maybe I need a couple of copies of Patrician Geist in this deck as well. Temp Lockdown. Yeah, okay. Okay. Rest in Peace already exiled some stuff. It didn't really hit any big targets, so that's a knock against it. We've now done 5 points of damage to ourselves, and there is the Lord. Oh, lordy. Is it double Lord, or is it... No, I think it's just Mutavault. I think I'd rather hold the old Mockingbird back. And yeah, they're at 4. They need something huge here. What happens if I Mockingbird a Mutavault? Anybody know? What happens? I don't know. What do you guys think about my new Jace Chocobo, by the way? I don't know if I was using him in the last video. I'm pretty sure I wasn't. But isn't that cute? I like what they did with the Chocobos. I guess this is is it a blue Chocobo or is it a black? It must be a blue Chocobo. I guess they did a red one for Chandra and company. That's kind of cute. Kind of cute. So if they use their mana to kill the Spell Queller, which kind of looks like that's what they're up to, we still have the Mockingbird to come down for the Supreme Phantom. That makes our Mutavault a 3/3, which will make blocking very awkward for them. Just gotta kind of hope that they don't have something else with his last 2 mana. And they do. Vanishing Verse. Well, that's punishment for not playing out the Mockingbird last turn. Okay, well... Lofty Denial is a whole lot of garbage. Now I'm thinking, do I draw? Maybe I should have drawn. Yeah, I should have drawn. Oops, it's still fine, I can still draw. But I wasted a little bit of mana there. Dumb. Yeah, Voice of Victory. Talk about a card. Interesting, though. If they don't kill me now and they don't put a bunch of 4/4 angels on the field, and if if they leave my Spectral Sailor alive, if all of these conditions are made, I have 3 damage in the air next turn. And if... hey, stop looking at the Spectral Sailor. No! If I draw a land, I can also Mutavault to attack in for 3. Man, this game definitely went really poorly. Hey, I drew a land. Fantastic. Hate this game. They're down to 1 card. I could attack in with a Mutavault, but I think it's probably better just to do the thing I should have done at one other point in the game. Get 2 4/4s, or 2 2/4s, and then have the Mutavault up for the following turn. And just hope to get there. Oh, that's rough. The opponent drawing so nicely into removal, removal, removal. Not saying they drew into it. I shouldn't say that because I cannot confirm whether they drew into it or not. Had I had a... it's just not working, right? Had this and this land been switched around, I could have also attacked in with the Mutavault. It would have been a 4/4. They would have had to block with the Voice of Victory. And now instead I'm put into like a really bad position. But I think I have to attack in. And then the Mutavault is going to have to go under something. And I don't know if I got it. I'm a little bit frustrated right now because you can see the opponent's draws being very nice, and you can see your draws being bad, but being bad in like the absolute worst way. And they gained 4 life. Come on, that's some crap. Okay, I don't think we're dead here, but I think we need. Are we dead? 2, 4, 6, 8. We're not dead. But we absolutely need a Lord off the top. The opponent's gotten so lucky. We can get a Lord off the top as well. Oh. So pass to blockers. I believe they have 8 damage coming in on us. No matter what, I have to block here. Come on, Lord. Reward me. My play has been fine. Reward me. Subscribe, okay? Come on. Give me something so I can see one number going up instead of all my numbers going down. Oh, that was brutal. Brutal. Absolutely brutal draw. Land, land, land. The opponent heat, heat, heat. I'm sure all of you can relate. One more. All right. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put the last game into it. It was a bit of a non-game. My opponent they were on, I don't know what they were on. They were on maybe a food deck, a Scavenger's Talent deck. I'm not really sure what they were up to. But they just conceded. They roped me game 1. I think they were just having trouble figuring out what was going on with their deck. And then, yeah. They started game 2 and they just quit. So maybe I'll put it in, but it's also possible that I won't bother. Our opponent, Boros. Is it equipment? No, it's not. Oof. Okay, I'm gonna run out the rattle chains here. I'm a little bit scared of what the interaction that they might have here. Volcanic Spite. I do feel spited. Okay, Painlands. So the lands are a very interesting thing in this deck. I actually recently switched them up. I was playing Glacial Fortress. Glacial Fortress is one of those lands that I kind of like, but you wouldn't believe how often Glacial Fortress decides to come in and mess up your day. What? Okay. I think I'm fine with that. Kind of leaves us without much of a play here, but... okay. What do I do? Maybe I should have saved it. Let's... Why? What are they doing? I'm so suspicious. This must be like an Indomitable Creativity deck, right? Okay, we'll run out the Aven Interrupter because I need to have a bird on the field. Something with flying for this Lofty Denial. Right on time, the lands coming in perfectly messed up. Okay, maybe it's not a Lofty Denial. Maybe it's not an Indomitable Creativity deck, because I don't think I've ever seen an Indomitable Creativity deck play a Wandering Emperor. That being said, maybe we just walked into their trap and we're toast now because an Atraxa is going to come out and smack my face. A second Chain to the Rocks on the same mountain. Oh, they do have 2 mountains. Okie doke. Well, the rattle chains there is probably one of the better draws for us. They're cycling away a triome, so they're digging. What is my opponent playing? Something unique. Okay. At the very least, rattle chains it is. Give the rattle chains hexproof. I think if they try to kill the rattle chains, I will try to protect it with the Selfless Spirit. This could just end up with me losing all of my cards, but I think I have to. Okay. So this is definitely a creativity deck, right? What a unique build. And it gets hexproof. Hey, the Interruptor's pretty good with the rattle chains on the field. If they spend a turn doing not a whole lot, we can maybe get out one of these lords if we have to go out with the Aven Interruptor. But they got so much mana. Ooh, it's always this card, right? What do you do with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker? It is troublesome. It doesn't kill me though, so I think it's fine. And I'm gonna put out the Empyrean Eagle because it's more expensive. We have we taken 7 points of damage? I think we have. I don't think there's a reason to run out the Mausoleum Wanderer willy-nilly. They've also, they're down to 3. So it's possible that if this Interruptor can delay them for 1 turn, if they try to do like a big Indomitable Creativity here, which it kind of feels like that's what they're gearing up towards, we might be able to kill them on the backswing. We will be able to kill them on the backswing. Come on, do it. Creativity. Here it comes. Here it comes. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun seeing my bench is creaking. I went to I mentioned in the last one, I went to a bench. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in there. It's so fun knowing so transparent exactly what you're going to be doing. Big brain. Big brain, big body, small brain is actually what it is. What do we bring in? We bring in some negates. Heck yeah. And the Interrupter saved us there, but I don't know if it's really super useful. Selfless Spirit, kind of gonna be good. I think probably they bring in board wipes, so I don't want to take out the Selfless Spirit. Maybe I just bring in the hard... You know what? Like, do I really need lords in this matchup? I don't think I need all that many lords because we're just going to kill them by stopping them. The question is, do I want to go down a lot and then bring in the Spell Pierce, especially because they're on the play? I think I probably do. So let's just trim a little bit of fat and bring in a ton of interaction. You know what? I think the Mockingbirds in this... Wow, the Mockingbirds do... They do become Mausoleum Wanderers often enough, and if they are Mausoleum Wanderers, that's going to make doing the Indomitable Creativity a lot harder. But I don't know if I want to play out a lot of cards to the field because I'm kind of expecting like Anger of the Gods or Sweltering Sun or whatever flavor of red board wipe that they are running in this deck. Okay. At least our lands are not going to be murdering us. Oh, what a draw. That's gravy. I love the position we're in now with that negate. I don't see negate played very often. I play a bunch of creature decks. Of course I'm not going to see negate played all that much. Who's playing negate against me? What a stupid thing to say. If they use their volcanic spite again, that's what it is, on that, it's super fine. Kill my Spectral Sailor. That has to be bad threat assessment, right? blasting a Spectral Sailor with his Spite. Pass. Now they might be able to... Maybe they're going to try to go for like a quick Indomitable Creativity just to get one card out, hoping that I'm shields down. No? Okay. I could put out the Selfless Spirit and hold up the Negate, which I don't hate. Because I think they're only going to be playing one spell that I absolutely... Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I can only counter one thing if I have mana. So I may as well just go with the Negate line and hope it holds. And if I get through this turn without them doing something nutty, then it should be real good. You know what? This might be wrong. This might have killed me. But I think I want to keep the Selfless Spirit. After I was so confident that I wanted to counter the Chain to the Rocks because I wanted to have my Selfless Spirit. But oh, thank God. But I was really not paying attention to the fact that they still have 4 mana and this clue sitting over there. And that could have been a world of disaster for me. If they decide to go after the Selfless Spirit this time, I'm cooked. Okay. And there's nothing I can do about it this time. Notably, the Spell Queller is not going to get their Indomitable Creativity like across the board. It's very possible that they pay more than the 4 CMC for it, and then it just doesn't work out. They may also have removal here. Oh, okay. Well, the opponent... What can I really do if the opponent has 4 points of removal against me? And here we go. Here's a replay of the heartbreaking game 2, where I just draw literally garbage. And this Aven Interrupter is only going to be delaying things for 1 turn. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. I've always had... And I think I mentioned it in game... Did I mention it at some point? I always have problems with mana with my Spirit decks. It's a constant with Spirits. It's either you don't have the mana or you have all the mana. And I don't see that with all decks. But it's one of these things that I've always found with Spirits. We'll give it one more draw, then we'll go to the play for game 3 and hope, just hope, I can get there. No, we're not gonna outvalue Fable the Mirror Breaker. That's a good card, but yeah, this is. I kind of want to see what they're doing with their Indomitable Creativity. What are they pulling out of the deck? Because I don't think we've seen any indication of it. Well, they got mana for days, so... And we are taking 6. Okay, well, one more turn. I don't think I even want to bother with this, because I think it's so far out of control. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. How many lands? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lands? Ugh. Yeah, we just kind of gotta... get a board and be able to hold back their massive removal. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about it. Just hope they don't draw so much. Okay, get to play, and we get a kind of a sketchy looking hand, but I'm going to keep it. We got 2 points of interaction. We got the Mockingbirds. I just need to find... a Mausoleum Wanderer. Is a huge draw. If it is, no. But I will still run out the Selfless Spirit, and might be incentivized to go out with the Mockingbird on the Selfless Spirit on the following turn if we don't hit a land. If they leave it alive. Ugh, come on. Oh, I should have sacrificed that. That was a Oh, that was a misplay. So by sacrificing the Selfless Spirit, I would have prevented the second part of the Volcanic Spite, I think. And our deck is now just not doing anything. Okay. This feels bad, but whatever. I have to put something on the field. And maybe I should have just held up the negate. I don't know, I'm tilted. I am tilted. How do they just have it, and we don't have it with our lands? Maybe I kept a bad hand. Maybe I should have negated that. This is tilt play. This is not even thinking. This is throwing out a Supreme Phantom when you should be holding up a negate, because your next turn you're going to get creativity. And it's just frustrating sometimes, this game. Especially when you get so hot and you start sweating and you're just like clearly cooking in your house. And your opponent's on 5 mana and you're on 2 when you have a bunch of 3 CMC spells and you just can't draw a god spell. Man, why? We're playing 23 lands. And 23 lands should not give such... It's just variance. I have to keep reminding myself it's just variance. I hit a bad pocket of variance with these games. It's just... It hasn't worked out. Wow, great. We found it. But we're dead. The opponent is down to 13. When did that happen? I'm not giving up. But I am frustrated. Especially with this Kiki-Jiki. Just, man, talk about your stupid cards, right? Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It is, if you are building, that's fine. If you're building a tier chart of cards and your best cards are at S, Kiki-Jiki I feel like is like 3 tiers higher than S tier on a normal tier chart. What a goofy card. So we get hit for 4 down to 10, and we literally can't do anything except pray that a Spell Queller stops and Fable, and they don't have anything with 6 more mana that they've been generating with these annoying little goblins. But clearly they're going to have another Spite. They have been, to be fair, they have been shuffling a lot through their deck. No, okay. Well, when you can Fable and hit the Indomitable Creativity, whatever. This game, doing weird stuff. Hey, what's that symbol on my camera? I wonder what that is. I have to check that out. Looking up at the camera and you notice that there's a little orange symbol there. I'm done with this. Moving on. Okay, I think the little symbol on my camera was because the camera is starting to overheat, because it is cooking in this room. Every day it's cooking. The deck, it's fine. It didn't play well. I think I ran into some bad matchups and I had some bad draws. Not necessarily bad matchups. The draws were just horrendously bad for my deck, and I felt bad. The Aven Interrupter, very cute. I don't think it fits in the deck. I really wanted it to be in the deck because I thought it would be really cool to be able to interrupt the opponent with the Interrupter and with the Spell Queller and just really keep them off kilter. But the reality is it just doesn't really play that well. And you just maybe need a few more lower costed cards to get that momentum going in a tempo deck. Maybe playing Spell Pierce main board is just going to be better than the Aven Interrupter. But I don't know what is going on with the lands. 23 lands, it should have worked out better. The sources are so clearly organized. I don't know. Some days you just draw so frustratingly bad that it makes you want to just delete every single deck that you've ever made. But that's besides the point. I think the sideboard probably needs Portable Hole. We need to bring that in. And I think a lot of the decks, as I was saying, they are running the Curiosities. How do you spell Curiosity? There it is. This guy. Maybe getting a little bit of card draw is important. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of card draw in the deck. Now, this is not a flying creature. This is not a spirit, but what it does do is flash on its own. It is 4 CMC, so maybe going up to 24 lands to be able to accommodate for the Enduring Curiosities would be good. Switching out the Empyrean Eagles because they're kind of a mid-tier spirit overall. I was really hopeful that it would work well with the Interrupter, but it didn't. But getting that bit of card draw could be quite important. I think there is another... Isn't there another Curiosity? It's like are they called Enduring cards? What are they? What is that? It's the Enduring cycle. It's not the Curiosity cycle. So the other ones are also playing the Enduring Innocence whenever you're playing a power 2 or less creature, while our deck is full of power 2 or less creatures. So I think having maybe this and the other Flash Curiosity in the deck might be the way to go to kind of ease in that frustrating aspect of just drawing dead at times. I really want Coco in the deck, and that's why I really want to have like Noble Hierarch in the format so that I can have a Bant Spirits list, but we don't have it, and we probably will never have it. Anyways, Mockingbird, awesome, and I think Mockingbird definitely fits in the deck because it is a very powerful card. It is just super flexible, and it is great as a 1, 2, or 3 drop whenever you need it. But the Aven Interrupter, I think, needs to just go into a Coco Selesnya value deck instead of into a flying deck, or maybe into something like this that I was messing around with. Maybe birds just outright. Hey, maybe a future video if this mess of a deck ever sees a little bit of tuning. Anyways, I'm gonna go have a shower. See you in the next one. Bye bye.